Let me go downstairs. I'm in my bedroom.
We are live. April, what you doing?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
We live, girl.
I don't know. Wait a minute.
Facebook land and YouTube land. We are coming live today because we wanted to do a recap of this presidential debate, which was a hot mess.
Okay. Sorry.
No. There you go. Y'all remind me to let my go to sleep.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. That lighting's bad. Hold on.
It's okay, tonight. So I'm just gonna talk to let them know what we up to while you get your life together, April.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, y'all, is we're gonna go over the presidential debate. We're gonna do our own recap. Just to kind of give our own perspectives. We're gonna go over the topics that they went over in the debate, and we're just gonna give our ideas of what should have been said and kind of go over the topics that should have been discussed.
Okay.
So I just want to start out by saying I'm going to state my political stance. I want each person to state their political stance. You know my political stance pretty much already. I am a conservative, but I want to make it clear to everybody out there in YouTube, Facebook, I am not a Republican. I consider myself fiercely independent.
Okay.
I'm going to vote for the candidate that I feel like meets my needs as not only a Black person, but a Christian. Because I'm a Christian too. And my values matter. So, and I have to keep those things in mind when picking a candidate. April, you got something on in your background? We're getting feedback.
What's going on?
I'm hearing feedback.
No,
I don't know what the feedback is. Okay, we don't worry about it. We can go with it. But so that's our political stance. And I'm feeling pro-life. So I'm sure you guys know that. And you know how LGBT you've never seen a video of me before. So then Carl, you can say your political stance.
Okay. Well, my political stance, for the most part, I have been a Democrat. I vote Democrat, moderate, but leaning on the liberal side as well. But I'm kind of in a crossroads now with the Democratic Party because they just have to do better by us. You know what I mean? I have voted independent before, but I just think that it's, we got to do something different here.
We do. We agree. I agree. Okay, April, so you done, Tom?
I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, April, what's your political view? April, becoming a nurse recently. Go, girl.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm back in school too to be an RN. So
okay,
doing tonight. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I want to say that I was a Democrat for a lot of years until the Bush campaign.
Okay.
And then that's when I decided to be an independent because I have conservative views. Just independent. Yeah, so I am independent, and so at the time, Bush aligned more with my own personal views than the other candidates.
Okay.
Now, when I voted for Obama, I did that for the culture. Okay.
Right.
Because I felt like we had been held down for so long, and I wanted this man free the presidential office.
Right.
Here's where I kind of was disappointed in his second term is when he made same-sex unions legal.
Mhm.
And so I was really kind of, and that's just because of my own, Christian worldview,
Right.
But I'm independent, and so it really, I look at both the candidates now. Election season, I'm disappointed in both because I haven't heard anything as far as real policy for Biden. Nothing. All I can hear from him is I'm not like Trump.
Right.
And that's enough for us,
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? Let me say.
Go ahead, April.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's doing that as a political strategy because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're voting against Trump. They're not voting for him. They're voting against Trump.
Right.
So I think he's kind of feeding into that strategy, what everyone is feeling.
Right.
So, but this, I mean, I don't know. I think we're.
I just feel like it's going to get us into trouble if all we're looking at is voting against Trump.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of what my posts are being misunderstood by Black people. They think I'm defending Trump. I'm not defending Trump, as in I'm trying to show you who Biden is too. Because I don't want us. Do me a favor, can y'all mute while each other is talking? So yeah, that's what he said. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. So the feedback is gone right now. So we'll just mute in between each person talking, so that way we won't have that feedback on the video for the people watching this. But I think a lot of time what people are missing from my post, because I'm pointing out things about Biden that they think I'm defending Trump, or I don't see who Trump is. Of course I see who Trump is. I don't want us to be so focused on who Trump is, though, that we don't realize who we are voting for. You know what I'm saying? As in those, not we, because, as in those that are voting for Biden. I don't want people to be so focused on who Trump is, Trump's racist, Trump's this, Trump that, without realizing who Biden is. Because a lot of people are rolling on the fact that he was the vice president of the first Black president, meaning how could he possibly be racist? Come on now, wake up. If I had to roll with somebody I couldn't stand, to be, not saying that he can't stand Barack Obama, I'm not going to say that, because even the most racist person can have Black people that they like, you know what I'm saying? So, but if I had to roll with somebody that I ain't necessarily feeling to become vice president of the United States, and we both have the same agenda, let's roll. Don't nobody gotta know how I feel about you. We just gonna go ahead and get this done. Teamwork make the dream work. That's what him and Barack Obama did. They teamed up because they had the same agenda, despite whatever differences that Biden had with his racial views in the past, or Barack Obama. They came together. They got in office. Did whatever they did while they was there for 8 years. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people think that I'm against Biden because of his agenda. But they think I'm just one of those Trump heads that's like some of the other Trump followers are. And believe me, there are blind Trump followers out there that don't see the fact that he has racist views. I'm not that person. But how I'm able to vote both of them on an even keel, because Biden's racist, Trump's racist. So let's get that out the way and focus on the agendas. What do these people stand for? Because if I'm looking at them, if I'm going to vote based on who racist, then I ain't going to vote for nobody. Because he racist. So I got to just eliminate my personal feelings and the fact that they racist out the picture. And then I got to focus on the issues. You see what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at. So you got to come off mute so we can hear you.
So I see where you're standing at. So now we have to vote on policy and what's best for the country. Well, see, unfortunately, Biden hasn't really offered us any policy. because Trump is so vitriolic, he's so divisive, that Biden has spent his whole time defending himself, and that's really just a tactic of Trump. He keeps him on the ropes, and he keeps coming with all the swings. So all the defender is doing is they're defending themselves from the attacks. See, right? So we don't really get to hear Biden, and that's his whole point. He doesn't want to hear Biden.
On that same note, you get what I'm saying? He's so busy attacking that we really don't even get to hear what Trump's plan is.
No.
But that's his strategy, though, because he doesn't have one.
He does. That's what I'm about to say. You have to get on. You got online and you look at stuff. Trump actually got plans and he was so out there and has an agenda even for healthcare. He actually does. But he's so busy defending himself against media, arguing and attacking the Democrats, doing this, doing it. Like every question that was asked at the debate yesterday, he never really. Because when they asked him about what he was going to do about Black America, for Black America, I'm waiting to hear the Platinum Plan. Because that's the name of his plan for Black America, the Platinum Plan. I'm waiting for him to sit there and break that down because I know Biden does not have a plan for African Americans. So I'm waiting for Trump. Can you hear me now? Okay, so it's like leave crap alone and stop worrying about Antifa and answer the question. Let Black people know that you do have a plan for them that the Democrats can't even begin to touch. But don't nobody hear that because all they remember and they took away from that thing is that he did not denounce that Proud Boys group. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing about Trump and all his plans. I'm not saying that he hasn't had some good policies, but here's what's bothering me though. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that when Republicans are in power, our taxes go up. Mm-hmm. We're paying more in taxes than we were before. And see, I'm unhappy about that. And then another thing with Trump is he's dishonest, and he's corrupt. And you know what? We really can't trust him. You know what? If we trust him in the White House, and it's and that's what makes me not want to listen to him is his character.
That's right.
He's like a viper. First, he looks harmless, but if you get too close, he'll strike and he'll try to kill you.
That's the thing with Trump, and I think really with a lot of these politicians, it's your character. That stuff matters because for one, that's what we see first before we see anything else. And with Trump, it's just been so. The man is, in my book, he's a sociopath, and he has no business. He has no business being in the presidency.
Most politicians are either psychopathic or psychopath.
Yeah, they are.
I
work with them. I know how they are. But Trump takes it to the max. He does.
You know what I really noticed in the debate yesterday that irritated me so much with Trump, because if y'all was paying attention to what I posted, I said he is literally, he's horrible. Because what Trump does, and he makes a mistake of, and the reason why people can't listen to him, because he allows his ego to get in the way.
Yes.
He got upset at the stuff that Biden was saying, but instead of getting upset and launching a full-scale attack, pull back, realize that he got a good plan, maybe launch the attack, but then your way to get him is with the plan. You don't have to have your son. You don't have to bring up your son, George Harris. You don't have to do none of that. All you have to do is fall back and hit him with the plan.
Right. But that's why
people think he don't have a plan because he was so busy attacking that he never got a chance to voice it.
Right. But his people like that though. He's playing to his base. They like to see that big bully, tough guy who's standing up to the establishment. You know, that's our guy. He's playing up to his base. He knows what he's doing. I think he's very incompetent, but he's not stupid. You know what I mean?
I believe his tactic, like you said, was strategic, even though it does seem like it was all over the place and it was messy. But that was his tactic, was to be messy. Because it wasn't that Trump didn't want to voice his plan, because he got one.
Right.
He didn't want to let Biden do anything he had to say.
Right.
He didn't want nobody to hear what Biden's plan was if Biden had one. So that was his goal. His plan, his plans, like, you can look at his plans laid out on the internet. You can Google it, find out everything that Trump said, you plan on doing for the next 4 years. But unfortunately, for Biden, you don't see that. So if he didn't announce anything, it would have been at that debate, and it would have threw Trump off, because Trump didn't have no knowledge of it. You see what I'm saying? So his goal was to shut Biden down and not let him say nothing.
Right.
Go hire him because his intellectual voters that wanted to see him represent in a more presidential fashion is thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up something that piggyback off of something April has said earlier. We were talking about what makes us vote for him. Another thing, though, why I would vote for Biden is because I think his values, you know, people's values come into play too.
Yeah.
That's aside from policy, and you know, you got character, you got policy, but you also have value. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think sometimes you have to, like, okay, well, if you don't have the policy, and that's the game that we're playing right now, I believe.
Yeah.
You know,
we gotta pick through the pot.
Yeah, we do.
I'm not a Biden fan. I'm not. He's okay. You know, he's okay, but I got some issues with him. His age concerns me.
His age is a factor.
I don't, you know, I'm wondering if he's going to be able to even make it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you see that there's a cognitive impairment with him, though?
Let me say that again.
Do you see the cognitive impairment with him, though?
Yeah, I do. But it's not just him. I do. It's not just him. I think, you know, I think we need to have term limits in our Congress.
Yeah.
It's too many of them that are up there. They're in their
yeah.
Look, I'm 47, honey, and I can barely remember my name sometimes, so I can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how are you setting?
I mean, the stuttering.
I was forgetting how old I am.
He's not as quick as Trump. Trump is fueled by anger.
He is.
Trump is fueled by anger.
No, he's fueled by ego. Let me. This is where I'm going to correct you. A lot of people think he's fueled by anger. It's not anger to me. He's fueled by ego, and that ego comes off as anger. Right. He gets offended when people say stuff about him that he deems is not true or not suitable to who he is, and he lashes out. That's what we call it, ego, not anger.
That's true. I would agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is an egomaniac. I mean, because it's like that's all he cares about is the praises and love me.
Is that not consistent with who Donald Trump has always been even before coming to office, though?
Yeah.
He's always been an egomaniac.
He's always been like that, yeah. An attention monger.
I was watching this video earlier of this guy, and I had seen a couple of other videos, and they said, well, how come Trump just became racist when he ran for president? Because all before then, he was surrounded by black people all the time. He was never considered racist until he ran for office, and he started saying dumb stuff.
Honey, he's been racist since day one, okay?
Yeah.
That man has been racist since he came out.
That's how he grew up, though.
That's how he grew up. Yeah, that's how he grew up. When I was working on my master's degree, I actually did a thesis on Donald Trump. This was before all of this presidency.
Wow.
Yeah, because he used to own this big apartment complex in Cincinnati where I used to live. Mm-hmm. And he actually turned it around, to be honest with you. He did a good job with it, but there were a lot of racist and grandiose dude. You know, he was picking out black people. I mean, so he's a hot mess. He's a racist. He is definitely racist, and he's been that way forever.
Now, was it him or his management?
Huh?
Was it him specifically, or was the people that managing his property for him?
That was management, you know, but of course he was
I was a property manager. I was a property manager for a big property firm here in Ohio. They're a really big company. Like if I said their name, April, you probably know who they are because you're here in Ohio. But the way that their managers are, because I was like the only black one. The way other managers did things were very racist. But that may have not been reflective of the ownership and how they would have tried things to be ran. Because they don't want us being according to the housing laws and being fair. Because that's a law in if we're not. But it didn't mean that some of their managers still didn't do racist stuff.
right.
From a smaller property management company because one of the black residents had complained about the white maintenance guy being disrespectful to her in her home. Now, mind you, I'm the only black property manager out there, so she came to talk to me, and she felt comfortable talking to me because I'm black.
Right,
so
right.
I communicated what she said to me to them. And I didn't sugarcoat it. I said, look, he was very disrespectful to her. She could not wake up and he was standing over her in her bedroom. And it was a real big issue. And I told him that she was thinking about pressing charges. And I just communicated what she said. It's not me giving her these ideas. Right. Girl, next day I'm fired.
What?
Wow.
I got fired. I got a call. I was like, what? So that's what I'm saying. It may not necessarily be him but his management. You know what I'm saying? But as the owner and as the doctor responsible for what your employees do. So
yeah. But I don't know, he's just a hot mess. The man
Go ahead with your thesis about him.
It was housing. I had to write a piece up on housing, and I used him as kind of like a case study. And so I did a lot of digging into his background, and the girl died, 15 years ago. So he's always been who we see today.
I can believe it. And I think my issue is not so much of trying to defend him as not being whatever he is. But like I said before, I don't want us to be so focused on who he is that another even worse racist just pulling it right up under it without us recognizing it. You know, I just want you to be aware of because he's not the body that's set under Barack Obama. You gotta look at the whole environment. If you don't go back to 1973, when Trump got sued for racial discrimination on his party, you gotta go back to 1994 when Biden that put a bunch of black people in jail.
I think it really is coming down to us picking between the lesser of two evils. And that's how it was when we ran against Hillary. It was really the lesser of two evils. I didn't want Hillary, but at the same time, I knew good and well that Trump really shouldn't have been president.
He shouldn't.
I didn't the one in. I'm gonna tell you right there. I sat out there though. I told you
that was a hard one.
Yeah.
I am not a Hillary fan. I am not a Hillary fan at all.
No. I didn't want Hillary. It hurt me, but I just said I'm gonna vote. You know, make my because I knew that this was gonna be like this. You know, with his character and the way he behaved, I said this is gonna be terrible, and it is. It's been terrible. It's been stressful. I have never been so stressed out with a president.
I know. You know the thing about Trump though, when he first ran, and I will confess to this, when he first started running, he kind of perked my interest. I'm not gonna lie, because he was speaking differently.
Oh.
He wasn't speaking like other politicians.
Okay.
Like, okay, well, maybe we do need to do something a little different. But as time went on, he started acting a fool.
Yes.
And I was like, no, I can't do this.
See, I knew who Trump was from the Apprentice. I peeped him there and I said, oh, because it's all about him, and he really does think he's a king. Well,
He does.
well, you know, it's not Trump Towers, and you can't run it like that.
Right.
And he has to go because he's empowered these racists, and that makes it dangerous for us.
Yeah,
because they're empowered.
Yes,
and you know that's going to take us back to the 50s. You know, there was a man, and I didn't talk about it on Facebook, but it was like a few months ago, who really wanted to engage my son. Had never seen this white man before in my life. The man had got out of his truck to try to do harm to my black son in traffic. And see, and that's because of the hate that's coming from the White House.
It is. It absolutely is. And the thing though that really scares me, and I was talking about this last night, if he gets in again, because I think he wants to be a dictator. And I believe that he has the right people in the right places to do some trickery to kind of, you know, destroy our democracy. I mean, it's already starting to crumble. Yeah. You know, that Barr, he terrifies me. That man is scary to me. Barr.
Oh, yeah. You know,
and so it's like
they're the same. They're white men.
I think Barr may be worse. I don't know, because Donald Trump he's scatterbrained, he's unhinged. But with Barr, to me, I think he's very meticulous. The man is very smart. And those are the people who are really dangerous.
But this is what I gather from Trump. Trump has a lot of bite, but his bite is not as, you see what I'm saying? He's not like I said, everybody's looking at his work. They're looking at his work, and his bite is his policies. The stuff that he's doing is he ain't doing nothing to hurt himself. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But look at Biden is strong. He ain't got no bite. But his bite is killed it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? His bite is the reason why a lot of black men are sitting in jail right now from his bite. You get what I'm saying? So that's the reason why and then I have to get back in and look at, and I know these are issues that may or may not, but abortion is a very important issue for me. And I was leaning to a Democrat, because I always wanted Democrat as well. So, and this time, every single time, I really started looking at the policies and what people's agendas are.
Right.
And I looked at, Biden's agenda when it comes to abortion. And I looked at Harris' agenda when it comes to abortion. They're looking to legalize full-time abortion. That's an issue for me. Because right now the average state is up to 22 weeks. And they're which is crazy.
Uh-oh, she done froze up on us.
Oh no. Let me plug my phone in. I'm on my phone. Should have brought my laptop. Uh-oh.
Are we back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
This internet, anyway, it's gonna be coming out Saturday. But I'm looking at the abortion issue, and that's important. And if you pay attention to it, Biden and Harris is supported by Planned Parenthood, which is an organization that was funded for the sole purpose by Margaret Sanger to help exterminate the Black race. And you're going to do your history on Planned Parenthood.
I did. I read it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've been to and purifying the race and all that. So
yeah.
She stood before the KKK and sold the idea of her organization based on its premise of being able to purify the human race by eliminating the undesirables, which was, us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my thing is, you got and between Roe v. Wade and now, 20 million Black babies have been killed. 40% of the babies that have been aborted by Planned Parenthood have been Black.
Right.
We're not 3% of the population. But yet, and then they strategically place their centers, 80% of them are in neighborhoods of color. So they're targeting us. And so I have a problem with a candidate who screamed Black Lives Matter, but yet you're funded by an organization established to help exterminate Black lives. And I don't understand how Black people can be upset because, oh, Trump got money from whatever. I don't even know what racist organizations, but I guess some people say he got money from racist people.
Right.
We do not have a problem with Biden and Harris getting huge donations and endorsements from Planned Parenthood.
Because Black people, they have not done their history like they should. We are so undereducated when it comes to our government, when it comes to representation, when it comes to things that affect us. We are really, really behind. And it's
That's
sad.
true.
I mean, even on Facebook, let's just say a lot of Black people don't really even comment about the elections, the state of the world. But if you talk about rap music, if you talk about food, if you talk about relationships, oh, they eat it up. I'm really, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm literally tired of it. Nobody cares. And
I
that's
even
why
know until one of my kids.
we're so dumbed down. And you know what? And I don't want to say this, but we're so stuck in this hood and this ghetto mentality. I cannot take it. And this is what's happened to us. That's why we're underrepresented in the Congress and the representatives, even in the White House, because we don't care.
But that's the reason why the Democratic Party don't feel a need to. To get their vote.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that is true. I mean, what you're saying, and we do as a Black race, we gotta get serious.
Yes.
Because we are very, very far behind.
We are.
And as time goes on, I mean, it's not getting better. To me, it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
I have never, in my 47 years of living, seen a year like this before in my life. And it terrifies me. It's scary because it's like, what is happening? Where are we going? I was watching, I don't know if you all seen that documentary, The Social Dilemma. Have y'all seen that?
I was watching it. I started watching it. I was actually watching a little bit of it today. That's amazing.
It's deep, it's scary, and it's like, is this where we're heading to?
But what it's showing me though, that Black people, we need to learn about technology. We use it and we do all this crazy stuff with it, but do we understand it?
What it's doing? Yeah. What it's really doing? But it's just, we have to elevate ourselves. We really do. Because I just started a nonprofit. It's called Black Communities Matter. Because my background's in economic development, and it's so much shenanigans and so much craziness that goes on in my field. It's like people need to understand this. And understand what zoning and land use is about. Understand why the community works the way it does. Understand how gentrification happens. It's not done on accident. It is done on purpose.
On purpose. Because they want to drive minorities out. They want to drive the Black community out. And
it's always been that way. I mean, it's been that way. We are the undervalued. We're devalued. We're just that throwaway race. And the thing is, we have
allowing ourselves to be thrown away, though.
We are allowing it because we don't vote.
We get, but I can't. I'm not gonna blame us totally, because we live in a capitalist society, and we have to understand that hierarchy. We have to have that hierarchy for it to work.
Right.
And we are.
But you know what it is, Tyra? It's easier to shake our butt to make some money than it is to bring a book.
And that's what's going on. We're driven by a fast dollar.
Right, but that's where I was getting at. Because I mean, think about these corporations, what they feed us. Look at the TV. Listen to our music. Do you think that it'd be okay for white kids to be out here talking about some fuck the police and all this vulgar stuff that they, our kids listen to. They wouldn't go for it. So it's all of this stuff is being done on purpose. And, and now we're seeing the result of that. And so we have to deprogram our minds and what we are feeding it and where we are going, because we are at the bottom and this stuff is not getting any better.
No,
now,
it's
this is an issue that I wanted to really talk to you guys about while I have you on here. And it's the riots and the protests. How do you guys feel about what you see going on? You got my take on it? I want to give you guys a take on it first. April.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me make you one.
Okay, so my question is that with the riots and the protests going on out here, and I understand it's for a good reason, what is your take as Black women and professional women of what you see going on in the street? April.
Well, okay, so like we said that we're underrepresented, in the House and the Congress, and protesting is a right. It puts public pressure on officials, on these systems that don't want to listen to us through the normal channels. So I don't have anything against protesting, but see what it is when you're dealing with that whole crowd mentality and emotions are ramped up, it always turns violent. It always turns, into something more, because for one, this whole I feel like the whole movement really didn't have a centralized leader like maybe Martin Luther King was. And so it kind of was organic in a way. People just got sick of it. But there are lots of reasons why people are out there. It wasn't just because they got tired of seeing Black people. We've been oppressed since the 1600s, And so, it's time for us to speak up. Now, on that separate issue, I'll say it is time for us to put our foot down, because we have had enough. Look how long we've been in this country. And I'm not saying that we have not benefited. And I'm not saying we haven't progressed, but look what it took. It took blood for us to progress. They killed Martin Luther King, and that was just 40 years ago. Do you understand that? That was just 40 years ago, that now we're allowed to walk in the front door.
It has not been
yes, I think we should make our voice known, but now we have to mobilize in more political ways, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? We need to be the ones putting money behind Black candidates that's actually going to speak for us. We need to hire lobbyists that's going to go to the Capitol and speak on our issues. We need to be the one investing in our communities and getting these stupid dollar stores, which I'm beginning to have a problem with, these check cashing places and all these people selling beer. There needs to be more of an organization and targeted, campaigns for us, not just the protesting. Now, listen. Now, first I was with Black Lives Matter, y'all, right? But then in the middle of it, I had to say, now, wait a minute, April. Now, listen, because see, this world is going down, right? The Bible says the government is on Jesus' shoulder. Okay, we have to remember now that there's never going to be any true justice. Not here. No, we can make our voice known, but not no true justice. And see, it doesn't help for us to have Black nationalism when we got to live in a country full of everybody else. We have to all be equal. Yes, our lives matter, but our lives don't matter more than everybody else's either. And we can't put them down and make them enemies when we have to work with them to bring about a change. That's my take on it.
My take. I'm muted. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback what you said, April, because that's exactly what I was thinking about the protest. Protest, that's fine. I think it's good for raising awareness about issues. I don't even have a problem with them when they start, burning stuff up, whatever. but I mean, it's a building. You can always rebuild a building, okay?
Right. Because we tired. We done got tired.
Girl, listen, they got insurance, honey. That building will be back up in another couple weeks, okay?
I don't got time for her.
But the thing is, what are we going to do after the protest?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, we have got to get political.
We do.
I read this little thing one day, and it said Black people's entire existence should be political, and it should be, because going back to history, we already know this country is not for us. It was not built for us. Everything that we have, we have to fight for. And fighting for it is not just voting. And that's the thing that kind of pisses me off too, because these politicians, that's all they feed to us. Vote, 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 vote. Yeah. And when you're voting, all you're doing is giving somebody
run.
Right. All you're doing is giving somebody a job. So, but there's all these other things in between the voting that we have to do. We have to understand. We need to be very political. Like you said, we need to start our own lobbyists, giving money to candidates. We need to start organizing. We need to start strategizing on what our moves are going to be. All of that. And because otherwise we are going to just keep getting our votes are going to be taken for granted, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're taking votes for granted because they know that once we vote, we're going back to our
part. That's it.
Yeah, they use us for a vote.
Yeah, they use us for a vote to give them a job, because that's what it is. They come to us, they give us a job. We need a check.
Keep going
in the power. Yeah. Right. So it's I just hope, and I have hope with this new generation that's coming up, because I see them.
That should be another topic. This new generation.
I give them credit because I think they're the ones who grew up in a bunch of crazy stuff. They grew up in recession. They grew up with, Bush. They grew up with all kinds of these student loans. They can't move out of their parents' house because they got student loans. So I think they grew up with a lot of, I don't want to say anger, but they see the problems, that we didn't see in our generation. Because I think we were coddled and we were good, But them, I think that, they're seeing all this hardship. They're growing up with all of this hardship, and they're seeing
a lot of racial turbulence going on in this
a lot of turbulence. And so they're like, you know what, this is not right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so I have hope in them that they are going to do something different. What it's going to be, I don't know. But
they take their existence for granted.
Right.
So this has been my take on the rioting and protesting. I have, like April, and I'm going to use you for a minute, Tyra, just because of that. I've had that burn it all down, like. April. Because after they shot, because I was cool with Arbery, not cool, but I was calm. And then I was calm with the guy that got shot in his house. I should know his name.
Oh,
shoot. Don't say it.
I forgot his name. There's so many of them. See, that's the sad part. There's been so many murders.
What's his name? Hold on. Wait a minute. You
got shot by who?
Yeah, but
it was the black guy.
What city was that?
Texas.
Let me look him up. Okay. We should know.
It's sad.
But my point is that I was okay with those situations. I maintained my cool and my calm. But then when I seen the situation with Blake, I literally watched this man get shot in the back 7 times.
My gosh.
At that point, there was nothing you could tell me. There was nothing you could have said he done. There was nothing you could tell me that could justify, even though you couldn't justify it with Floyd either. Because I couldn't even watch that video. I never watched it all the way through. Yes, they put him on his back, and I stopped. I turned the video off. But Floyd, unfortunately, I couldn't stop the video in time. So I saw this man get shot in the, and there's nothing you can tell me that could justify that.
Right.
At that point, I was like, you know what? Burn down the city.
Right.
Burn up. I don't think when you do what you gotta do,
Right.
justice in this case, because there's nothing the police can tell me on this.
That's
Okay?
what I'm thinking about with Floyd. I'm sorry. Burn it
Yeah, I
all.
felt the same way with Floyd, but I guess I didn't feel that same rage because I wouldn't let myself watch the video.
Okay, yeah. I think mine was smoother when Ahmaud got shot like that, and I was sick to my
I was
stomach.
angry about that too. But I guess
What?
I tried to stay detached.
Yeah.
Watching the guy get shot in his back 7 times, it was nothing you could tell me that could justify that. Because you try to find a way. Because I'm one of those types. I'm always trying to put myself in the other person. I try to put myself in the police shoes.
Right.
A lot of black people, they may not like doing that, but I do that because I try to look at it from the standpoint.
From both standpoints, right?
You got 3 officers armed with their guns out.
Right.
You got one. I don't even care if he had a knife in his hand. Y'all got 3 guns, and it's 3 of y'all. You mean to tell me there was nothing y'all could do short of putting 7 bullets in this man's body to stop him? Maybe if you didn't have all them guns in your hands and you was free to be able to fight and do something else.
Exactly.
See, and that's the problem with automatically having a gun out when dealing with.
Yeah. But they have tasers too. Why don't they ever use the taser?
Because we're black. Because we're black, and they automatically look at us as a deadly threat, and they, especially the black man, and you can't tell me different. These people, they should learn de-escalation tactics. As a nurse, I have to learn it. I have to deal with a lot of hostile patients, and I don't have a weapon. But you have to learn, how to de-escalate. I'm talking about dealing with mentally ill people.
Right, and plus they know they can get away with it. And the thing is, once you start allowing people to get away with it, they're gonna keep doing it, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, because the whole think about it now, because deep in their hearts, there's racism. You can't tell me it's embedded in our lives mean less than theirs.
Got shot.
Oh,
by Amber Guy.
Both in John, right?
Both in John,
yeah.
Okay,
but yeah, they just have a license to kill, and it's just it's unfortunate. I don't know. Things got to change because it's to me, it's just getting worse. It's getting bad.
Going back to the debate, because y'all, we didn't got all off topic. We needed to talk about that, right?
Because there's so many racial space in our country.
Let's get these 6 topics that they talked about in the debate right quick. And I'm going to get you guys to one topic. So at first we got the Supreme Court. Everybody's making a big deal about the justice that they picked versus RBG. What do y'all feel like? Okay, this is how I feel. I'm going to tell y'all how I feel first, and then y'all talk.
Okay.
Because I'm conservative, I don't want a conservative I don't want a liberal Supreme Court. I don't. I'm sorry. That's the reason why we got so many liberal laws now that we just don't need, that are driving this country, into the pits of hell already. We don't need to go any further there. And so not because I feel like, Trump is just this great person, I just know he's going to pick a conservative judge. So that's the reason why I feel like get that decision out the way and get her confirmed before the election, just in case he loses. Because if he loses, whoever they put on that Supreme Court is going to be liberal. So that means it's going to be expansion of abortion rights. It's going to be, proliferation of the LGBTQ. And, I love everybody, but I don't need to see no more of that stuff become okay and normalized in our society. Enough is enough, okay? Y'all done got your right. You got the same rights I got. Why do it have to be a special set of rights? You a human being in this United States. Every law that apply to you apply to me. So why do it got to be a separate set of laws for you just because you? And why do laws got to be based on who you have sex with? Why? So just you black, I'm black, you white, I'm white, we women, we all got the same constitution that applies to me being straight applies to you being gay if you gay.
Well, because it was there, and it wasn't legal. Because it was supposed to be between a man and a female. And this is the things, that they went through to make it right. And just because the Supreme Court signs off on it, it doesn't make it right. Y'all can't procreate.
Now let me tell you something. This is another thing too. And Tara, you can unmute yourself anytime you want. I just do it because you got like a back noise in your background. But they always attack Christians, me, you, when we make our political decisions based on our faith. We vote in line with what we believe as Christians. Stop to see that being pro-choice is also a religious-based belief. That's still a faith-based belief. But just because it's not lined up with the Bible, they don't see it as a faith because you are making a determination as to where you believe life begins. Your theological view, because if you talk to anybody who is pro-choice, they have a rational theological view where the Bible forgives them for their sin.
Right.
Talk about somebody who in the LGBTQ, they have a theological, biblical sense of how God excuses their sin.
They do.
Everything that people vote is according to their faith or lack thereof.
Right.
My thing is, how is it that your faith should outride my faith? If it's supposed to be a separation between church and state, which is faith and state, then it should be a separation from your faith and state too, and faith and state. But from what I'm seeing is that the faith that's other than my faith is okay. It's like it's only separation of church and state from Christianity.
Right.
You can be atheist, you can be new world, or you can be all these other faiths.
I know.
Yeah. With what they want to do as far as legislation is concerned, and you can be fine. But if your faith is against what they want to do, then it's keep church and separation. Really?
Right.
Is that what we're doing now? So that's the reason why I feel like really Roe v. Wade can eventually be overturned. A lot of people say, oh, it can't be overturned. It can't. Yeah, it can. Because how is that not a violation of the First Amendment? The government shall make no law with respect to any religion. They only look at Christianity as being a religion. They don't look at being pro-choice as being a religious-based view either.
Right.
That's where we as Christians have fell short because we allowed them to make it a scientific argument. And that's how they were able to pass it through. Separated from the religious and made it a scientific argument, so that's how it is. But it was never a scientific argument. It always has been a faith-based argument, but they just chose to go with one faith over the other, and the government is not allowed to do that per the Constitution.
Wow.
It just takes somebody or whoever with enough guts to sue the government and get it through. They'll probably get killed along the way by one of these crazy pro-choice people. it can be overturned.
Yeah.
The big issue when it comes to the Supreme Court, and the Democrats want to say healthcare. But if you look into the Democratic healthcare plan, and see, they want you to think that the Republicans, and I'm not Republican, so even though they're the ones with the plan, they want you to believe that the Republicans don't want health care for other people too. They do. They just don't want to federally fund things that the Democrats are sliding in under health care for all, because all includes LGBTQ. All includes people who want to have full-time abortions. Okay, if you want to go cut your thing off and live like a woman, fine. If you want to sew a thing on and live like a man, fine. I should not have to pay for that, though.
Right.
That's an elective surgery. That's your choice.
Right.
And if I want to go get a boob implant, I can't make y'all pay for that. That's an elective surgery, right?
Right.
I don't know any government insurance that's going to pay for that. Unless it medically needs me to get something done, they're not going to pay for that. So why should we get forced to pay for transgender surgeries? See, y'all don't realize that's what's included in this healthcare.
No, when the Affordable Care Act passed, I was working at the VA, which, of course, is a federal entity. And we would have transgender come in. And I was told that the government was paying for their gender assignment, their reassignment.
Mm-hmm. And their reassignment, yes.
Yeah. So I knew then that it is. If I wanted breast implants or something, ain't nobody paying for that. That's not fair.
Can I get something? I need some stuff.
Now wait a minute, because see that's they put it under something. I guess mental health. I don't know, but the government was paying for it because they were veterans.
Anytime you hear them Democrats scream for all, everybody.
Okay.
Understand what for all mean?
Yeah, I know.
And that goes back to what was saying earlier. I think even with these policies, a lot of policies that are put out there, we don't know what's in there. They tell us what they want to know. That we hear the headlines and that's it. But the devil, I would say, detail.
Right.
They always manage to bury things in there that we would not even consider.
And that's why we can't get the stimulus package passed.
Because we healed our funding for parents. Are we still here? Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
A lot of people, they don't like it. You Google it. They don't like Donald Trump, and Planned Parenthood hates Donald Trump. Planned Parenthood is a major lobbyist to the Senate. As far as legislation, they're major funders. Trump eliminated under his health care stuff that he was passing, and that's why they want you to think, oh, he's taking away health care. He ain't taking away health care. He's taking away federal funding of abortions. And that's what they consider health care, women's health care. He's restricting Planned Parenthood's ability to convince people to have abortions. They're not allowed to talk to people about getting an abortion anymore. And if they do so, they can lose their federal funding. When they already have lost, they can't get any funding. And he said any organization that promotes abortion can't get any federal funding. It's different if you as a female walk in there and say, I want one. But you can't go in there for another type of thing and they talk to you about getting one. They can't do that. And they just making us black folks think he don't want us to have health care, and that's not true. Or they're not covering pre-existing conditions. That's not true. They are covering pre-existing conditions. They're not covering people who want to get abortions.
Right.
They're not covering transgender reassignments. They're trying to pull all that stuff out of there, out of federal funding. So, You're on mute, Tara.
So my stance, of course, is the opposite. I believe in choice. I think women should have a choice in what happens to their body, especially especially when it comes to rape and incest, all that kind of stuff. I think that women should have a choice to decide if they want to keep a baby or not. Because now on the medical issue, we should be paying for it. Right. Well, that's true too. Yeah. But far as the nominee, here's my concern with the nominee. That with Trump putting them in, my fear is that they're going to be an extreme conservative. Okay, I think I can deal with a conservative, even though I don't like it, but I probably can tolerate it. But being an extreme conservative, that's my concern. That's where I'm concerned.
You see, but then that's our concern too, because okay, this is where the hypocrisy comes in. This is not on you, because I'm not saying it's you, but this is where the hypocrisy comes in when it comes to the liberal way of thinking. They think that cannot go by the letter of the law and not use their religious views when it comes to. She has to adhere to what the law says, even though it might not agree with what. Because right now Roe v. Wade is legal, so she has to go with the letter of the law, because it's not the judge's job to legislate, but to interpret the letter of the law and apply. You don't think that's hypocrisy? You say that a liberal can be exactly what
Wait a minute.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, and I can hear you.
Okay, so do you think that it's possibly hypocritical to say that? Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, so do you think that it's hypocritical to say that a conservative can't be impartial according to the letter of the law, but a liberal can? And that's saying that because she's a conservative, she couldn't be impartial.
Well, you know, that's not true. And I believe that she could be, just like any of them that are on the Supreme Court. But see, you know, this is all just political. They hate Trump. They want to pick the next Supreme Court justice. And that's all this comes down to. This is just politics. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm as worried about the Supreme Court justice, and only because I feel like the conservatives on there, they have overruled Ginsburg and the other lady who usually voted with her. I forgot who the lady was, Sotomayor. So there are a lot of conservatives on the Supreme Court. So if there was a Democrat, I think it would be pretty well even. And I think it needs to be. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say that I don't have my own personal Christian views, but I understand too that we can't push them off on people. You know what I mean? And I know that we're supposed to promote that in the world, and I do that, but at the same time we're living in this whole America, and you know, these people, they're going to do what they want to do. And so I think that we should have at least some balance there to the Supreme Court. Do I feel like they should wait till after the election? I do feel like they should wait, just because we're all in this whole election. There's a lot of moving parts. We got the COVID-19, we have the riots, now we have the recession. We have a lot of things.
And that's the other thing. Right, and that's the other thing that makes me nervous about this, is their push to get this person in.
It's never good to rush.
And remember when Obama had an open seat, when he was, you know, they said, oh no, we're going to wait a year before we put our next nominee in there. So it's hypocritical. And so for me, that's the other part that kind of makes me kind of nervous, is they're rushing this thing.
Yeah, they're rushing.
But there's the reason why, and this is the way it was explained from the way I heard it. The reason why they held off then versus now is because there was a Republican majority back then, and there was a Democratic president. So there wasn't an alignment in order to push somebody through quick enough. But when you have a Republican president and a Republican Senate, then there's an alignment there of values and choices. So they're able to push one through. So that's the reason, from what I understand, that's the reasoning behind being able to push one through now versus not being able to push one through then.
Oh, I see. Okay, he has the.
You got a Republican Senate and you got a Republican president. Back then, it was a Democratic president and a Republican Senate. So that was the push. They figured it was going to be too much gridlock to try to get it done before the next president took over.
Which is true.
Well, you know, that's the explanation that I got anyway for it. So then we got COVID. What do you all think about COVID?
Oh gosh.
You already got it first, April.
No. Well, me and COVID are not getting along right now, and only because we're dealing with all these restrictions, these serious restrictions that we have to deal with. COVID is very much still out there and very much.
I was going to ask you, what do you see? What do you see?
What do I see?
In the hospital.
Right now I'm working in a rehab facility.
Oh, okay.
And I have seen a lot of sick people with this COVID. I've had a lot of coworkers to get sick from it. The doctor, the nurse practitioner.
My son had it.
Yeah, see, and what people don't understand is everybody doesn't die from COVID, but some people get really sick from COVID, and then some are dealing with these other long-term symptoms. Like fatigue, body aches. They don't have the same strength. Some people are dealing with neurological symptoms, like they forget stuff. It's weird.
Hold on. What do you think? Can you hear me now? What do you think about locking down the country again?
Here's my thing with this. I think that to me, the biggest thing is how this thing was handled. I think it was screwed up. I think it did not have to be this way. And because, we had this incompetent man up in here, it's prolonging, you know what I mean? It's going along with what it should. And it also showing that, I know that this is something massive that we've never seen before, but to me, it's pull back the curtain on so much, showing that how bad America really is. I mean, we just this thing up badly. So I think we are going to pay for it. And I think it's going to be a long-term thing before we fully recover. And I'm not talking about a year or two. I think it's going to take a lot longer. We have this distrust with Trump. So now they're coming out with these vaccines. And now people don't want to take the vaccines. I'm one of them. Because
I think it's silly. I've been against the vaccine since before the vaccine.
It's like I don't. It's just so much. It's just so much chaos around this pandemic, and it's like you don't know what to believe, you don't know who to trust, you don't know what to do, and that has just made it 10 times worse than really what it had. What it should have been.
Do you think you'll take a vaccine if they get one out with your trust? I'm leery. I don't want to take
it. No, ma'am, not anytime soon. And my mother is a nurse, and she's like, "Don't take that vaccine right now."
I don't want to take it. But me not taking it has nothing to do with Trump. This was a decision. If April remembers some of my posts, and you probably do too, Kev, this is my decision way back in March and April.
Yeah. I mean, anything you don't know what it's going to do to you, and we don't know what they're doing. We don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, we don't even know.
And that's the thing. So
April, hold on, April. Go ahead. You need it, April. Unmute yourself.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that means we'll be in masks another year.
Yeah.
And if everybody would wear their mask, I don't feel like it would be as bad as it is. But Americans don't like to cooperate.
Well, not only that, I think our response has been different. Every state is doing whatever they want to. Nobody's on the same page.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't trust the government. That's what it is. The reason why we don't want to wear our masks is because the government is telling us to wear our masks. We don't trust them.
I know, but it's going to protect you from getting sick because you don't want that. I've seen people go down so fast, it was scary. I'm talking about 1 minute they were fine, the next minute they couldn't breathe, and the next minute they was dead.
Ever since I found out, I decided to wear my mask now.
Yeah.
Because he said, "Mom, this is real." He was
It's
saying
yeah,
it felt like a really bad flu. It felt like a really bad flu, though. That's how he said it felt. But
Yeah.
it was like a bad flu. So he was like, "Mom, you don't want to get this." So I did start wearing my mask a little bit more when I went
Yeah.
out in public.
It's real.
I wear my mask, but then because I travel a lot, like I said, all these states are doing different things.
They are.
I went to Florida, honey. They down there carefree. They don't care. You ain't got to wear a mask. Everybody's running around naked on the beach. But then when you go someplace else, you got to be covered up. They're taking it seriously.
Okay.
So it's hard. It's going to be harder fighting this thing when everybody's doing their own thing.
Yep.
Everybody's on the same page.
No.
So that's the really unfortunate thing about this, because I don't think that all these people who died had to die.
He's leading that, though. It's the president.
Yeah.
He has set
He's politicizing it. He's making it political. It's becoming a political thing.
They are listening to him. They are listening to him.
They are.
This
They
is
are.
a health crisis. It really is.
It is.
More seriously though, but I try to go as many places as I can. I do a lot of online ordering as much as possible. Most of the time when I go to the store, to the grocery store or to the ATM, I don't know what I'm going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, okay, y'all. We have talked about race and violence. We talked about the economy, right?
Well, no.
Not really.
No. There's not much we're going to be able to do, not with coronavirus still here. And that's causing the economy. People are losing jobs.
Yes, they are. And the thing that is, we have not felt the full effects of it yet. It's
no.
The fallout has not happened.
Yeah. I was just looking at the news. The airlines are in trouble again.
I don't think we've seen the worst of our economy. We haven't seen No. Fallout is still happening. You still have.
Let me ask you, what do you think about? I know you probably heard the conspiracy theories about the resetting of the economy into the new world system of a cashless society. Do you guys see that coming? I see it. What do you see?
It's on the horizon. Because our normal is like it's been a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It's not out in the open as because it still looks kind of normal, but it really isn't normal. It's not normal for us to be in masks like this. You know what I mean? It's not normal for us to have all these restrictions and guidelines when I go out to the store, and you know what I mean, I could get in trouble if I'm too close to somebody. None of that is normal. It's not normal.
You don't watch The Handmaid's Tale? You watch The Handmaid's Tale? What? Do y'all watch The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. Really? When this first went down, I had to go to Sam's Club.
Yeah.
And they were not allowing us in. We had a long line.
Yeah.
We had to wear the mask.
Yeah.
They were siphoning. They were dishing stuff out. You can only get one thing at a time. Only one. One carton of eggs, one thing of bread. That's what they do in this show. The Handmaid's Tale.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
Look, and when we went in there, it was complete silence. Because normally in grocery stores, the music is playing. Complete silence. They had signs there. You were only allowed to get one thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it just felt so eerie, like
it felt communist. Felt like communist society.
Yes, that's what it felt like.
And think about the national coin shortage.
Yeah, what's that about? I don't understand that. Why is there coin shortage? I don't understand that.
Okay, what to do? The coins called coin and just did what?
They said they're not producing as much and not enough, circulating in the economy. That's what I said. No, they want to use the plastic because they don't want people exchanging money anymore. I went into the store one day and forgot about this coin shortage, and they didn't give me my change. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, that part I didn't understand that. Why we don't have any more coins?
yeah, and I was just like, oh no.
What I am noticing is with the change in the way businesses are doing business, if Black people can learn how to navigate the internet and sell online and bring their businesses from brick and mortar businesses to online stores, out of business because they weren't able to transition their business from a brick and mortar location to an online store. You have to be able to make that transition, or we're gonna fall away. And that goes to what you said earlier, Tara, about us not keeping up with the curve.
Right.
And you don't keep up with the technology to learn how to navigate on the internet, we're gonna be a mess. We gotta know more than social media. So that's the way I see now. It's like we're gonna have to be able to get to a place where we're actually able to function online in the marketplace.
Right. Right.
I think that's where the next niche, I mean, that's part of what I do in my business development is help, people who are not savvy on the internet be able to get their business online. But that's where I think that's where the next big push needs to be in the African American community is to acclimate as many Black people to the internet. And I don't mean just social media. I mean to knowing how to build a website, knowing how to build a market, how to build a store, knowing how to, set up your store. And they got to learn how to do these other things because the things that we normally were entrepreneurs in doing, believe it or not, it took a lot. And I feel like it felt like it was strategically aimed at the Black community because we had restaurants, barbershops, beauty salons, car washes, a lot of things that required brick and mortar locations that was making us rich, making a lot of Black people rich. And now those types of businesses are dang near shut down. So if you don't know how to get your restaurant on Uber, if you don't know how to get your restaurant online and be able to deliver, you're not going to have a restaurant.
That's right. You're right about that. Because I deal with that every day with a lot of my clients, stuff I work with. They gotta change. They gotta come up with a new model because this old way, it may not come back, not anytime soon. Because the other thing with that too, also, speaking about the economy, all these people working from home, look what we're doing. We're meeting online. And so that too is going to have an effect like on office space. Because these guys are going to be like, you know what? Why are we paying all this overhead when I can, I can pay $100, whatever month, and we can have our meetings all online. So you are absolutely right about that. We definitely need to start thinking more about what's coming out and start getting online because that's where everything is moving. Everything is moving online, which is a scary thing because I don't know what they're doing, But yeah, businesses, if they want to survive, they better find some kind of way to get online to make money.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Okay, so then they were talking about the election integrity. What do y'all think about the mail-in voting and stuff like that? Because we're running long. We're probably going to wrap up soon. What do you think about the election integrity?
What about the vote? I mean, the
mail-in voting. What do y'all think about that?
I've gotten 3 ballots within the last 2 weeks.
You said what?
I've gotten 3 ballots in the mail in the last 2 weeks that I have not requested.
I haven't even got mine at all. I sent in my paperwork to get mine because they sent it to me to do the application for the ballot. I sent it in, but I haven't gotten the ballot yet.
Yeah.
As of October, whenever our first date is in Ohio that we can vote, I'm going in if I don't even got my ballot yet. I'm going.
Yeah, I'm go ahead and going in because I'm like,
I'm gonna go.
I didn't ballots.
Yeah, I got my ballot the other day and actually I filled it out, but I'm going to hand deliver it to the because I don't trust the whole mailbox situation and all that crazy stuff that's going on right now. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they can go in person and stay safe doing it, that's the best way to do it. If not, hand deliver. Get your mail-in ballot and hand deliver to the Board of Elections or your precinct or wherever, because
I can tell you this.
Right.
I'm not trusting the post office.
But I don't think there's going to be any voter fraud. I don't think that. I mean, I
do. Down here in Georgia, girl, they start the shenanigans early. Down here,
I think the mail will be slow because of a lot of the ballots, but I don't think there's going to be voter fraud. I really don't.
Nah, girl, it's gonna be some voter fraud because. Yeah, especially a state like Georgia, because Georgia, the Republicans are running scared down here because more, Democrats are moving to the state and it's starting to turn purple. It used to be red, now it's turning purple. And so they have everything in their power. Do you hear me? And I mean everything to stop us from voting. Wow. Our governor, let me tell you how crooked he is. He was the Secretary of State, okay? This was the man who was over the state elections.
Who, Kemp?
Kemp. He was running for governor.
Yes.
He refused to step down. They kept trying to get this man to step down from his position because of the conflict. You are over the election, but yet you running for governor.
What?
That's a conflict.
By law, he was allowed to keep his job. So get that. So he's over the election. He's running for governor, and he magically wins. Okay, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on with the vote. I mean, Georgia always has a lot of problems because they stay doing some shady stuff down here with the vote. So there's gonna be vote fraud.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not going to be like what Trump says. I really just don't think there's going to be a bunch of fake ballots out there that they're going. I just don't think that.
I don't think there's going to be fake ballots, but I do think that there's going to be some shenanigans. I mean, I don't what it's going to be.
On the Republican side, maybe. That's what I'm beginning to believe. I really am beginning to believe that.
Believe what now?
I believe on the Republican side there might be some shenanigans.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't think that on the Democratic side we're going to be trying, because we know that we need every vote to count.
We do, absolutely, we do. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Republicans, because they are fighting to hold on to some of these states, like where I am down here in Georgia, because more and more Black people are moving to the South.
Right.
And a lot of the Republicans, I don't like. I'm an independent. And a lot of people think because I don't like Biden and I prefer Trump, that I'm not a Republican. I just don't want Biden in office because of their radical agenda. And I'm not a voting person. I'm voting agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, this election concerns me in a lot of ways, because I just, again, goes like I said earlier, I feel like Trump wants to be a dictator. I feel like he's going to do whatever he can to hold on to power. And not only he wants to be a dictator, but now you got all of this tax stuff and all these possible criminal charges that may be waiting for him. And the crazy thing is, the only thing that's keeping him safe is being the president. That's insanity.
Now, on the tax thing, I'm glad you brought that up. I hadn't even thought about that. I looked at the same New York Times article and see that's, and I guess that's why people think I be defending Trump. But as a preacher, I just don't like lies. So when I read the article and I see how they're twisting it to make it look a certain way, you see what I'm saying? Because as a corporation, they have a thing called an alternative. They have something that's called They have something that's called an alternative minimum tax. So that's when you're a corporation and you don't quite know what your federal income tax is going to be. You give an estimate of how much you make and you pay the alternative minimum tax. Technically, that's not called federal income tax. It's called the alternative minimum tax. So Trump paid $24.3 million in alternative minimum tax over the last 7 years. But what they did was, because he technically hadn't paid the federal income tax for 2016 and 2017, he paid the alternative minimum tax instead. He only paid $750 towards $750. But they ignored the $24 million that he paid in alternative tax to make it seem like and they used the word that tax avoidance. That's not tax evasion. Tax evasion is the crime. Tax avoidance just means he avoided paying taxes. That's not illegal. Anybody can avoid. If you're going and you claim deductions on your tax return as a business, you're avoiding paying taxes by claiming certain deductions on your. By you being in business, Tyler, you understand. You claim certain deductions on your business, and as a result, you can avoid paying certain taxes. They just said tax avoidance. They never used the word tax evasion, which is a crime. So a lot him to Al Capone, but Al Capone went to jail for tax evasion, which is a crime. That's not paying taxes that you are supposed to be paying. Trump paid them. That's what the alternative minimum tax for is. That's for you to put it in there, just figure out the details of what you actually owe. So they paid over $20 million in taxes for the past 7 years. It's the way that the media, that's why we as Black people, we got to get away from the headlines, because they banking on us not reading the articles. You see what I'm saying? You got to get that article was long as what? That article, if you had to print it out, was probably 10 pages long. So they bank on us not reading and just going with the head. And that's what so many of us did. Trump paid $750 in federal taxes. And I want you to pay attention to something else. Notice in the debate yesterday, when the mayor asked him about his taxes, he was very specific. He said, specifically, what did you pay on your federal? He said, federal. Now, Trump said, I pay millions of dollars in income tax. He said, no, specifically federal. See, they wanted him to say this because they wanted him not to talk about what he really didn't pay in income tax, because all of it is income tax. You see what I'm saying? They was limiting his answer to just answering the federal, and only for those 2 years, 16 and 17, because in 2015, he paid almost $700,000 in federal taxes. See, they want to keep his answers limited to just that particular time frame so they can get the answer that they want to feed the narrative that they're feeding to Black Americans, that this man ain't paying no taxes. None of us can afford to pay the amount of taxes that none of us have made the amount of money to pay he didn't pay more taxes than I probably made all my life. $23 million? I don't think anybody that made that. I haven't made that in my 47 years. So they trying to make, that's why we got to be careful. Yeah, a lot of people hate Donald Trump because of his personality, but at the same time, don't allow yourself to be steered by lies that feed your hate. At least behind your lie, before behind your hate. You know what I'm saying?
Let me say this. And here's why I believe a lot of that New York Times article is, because I believe a lot of that New York Times article, because for one, this man has 500 companies. Okay, let's start there.
It's in the New York Times article. It says it. That's what I'm telling you. You read the entire New York Times article. It says it in the bottom. You pay $24 million in alternative minimum tax. It's in that article.
Right, but where I'm going with that though is First of all, who can manage 500 businesses? I mean, honestly,
Okay.
who can manage 500 businesses?
That's
You know, and I know that a lot of that stuff is they're
They're
passed
bleeding
through.
money.
Yes, they're bleeding money. They're passed through businesses, and there is no way in hell
Oh,
that anybody, even an accountant, you would have to have probably 500 different accountants,
Right.
you know, to keep up with all of that.
you're right.
So I could see a lot of shenanigans going on because it's so out of control.
He's shady.
Yeah,
But
That's
the
why the
reason
American banks are not
why.
going to him no more. He had to go to European banks, and they
exactly.
all Deutsche has a bad history of
This
being
is so
shady
shady. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
and
This is-
criminal.
I
Yeah.
don't
Who
think we go to
Trump deep down is a criminal.
He's
I
a
don't
criminal.
care about what he did and did not pay. We all know that if you keep digging, it's shady.
It's gonna
Trump
shake. Right.
evaded paying taxes because his companies have been bleeding money. He's a terrible businessman.
He's terrible. And the thing is, why do you need 500? If you are legit and you're doing well, why do you need 500 different companies?
I want to explain this to you. I want to explain this to you. And I learned this working with the big property management company that I work for. I work for oh God. I can't think of the name of it right now. But each one of their properties was incorporated as a separate deal, as a separate business.
Okay.
I get that. I understand that. I mean, I know that people have different entities and for different reasons.
I don't think.
But 500? Come on now. Maybe that's
Yeah, it just goes to show he's a
He
bad
owns
business.
a lot of properties, and each one of those properties, like Trump Tower, is actually incorporated as a business by itself. Then he has like dozens of golf courses. Each one of those are a business in itself. So he doesn't put all his property under one business. Each property is a business.
right.
And
I know.
I'm working with the company I work for because even though I work for the parent company, my paycheck was under the name of the building that I.
Right, and I'm not saying that that's not unusual. What I'm saying is the number is unusual, and what I'm also saying is that that's a lot to try to manage and handle for anybody. I mean, there's no way that somebody can properly manage 500 different corporations. Okay, and on top of that, I believe that he was doing it for shady purposes. You know,
He's not managing them companies himself.
Right. So I mean, and like, you know, I mean, just look how he's handling the White House. The man, everything he touches, it crumbles. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not the businessman that he pretends to be. He does a lot of shady stuff. You know, they were saying that he's about to have like a $400 or $500 million bill that's coming up soon.
Yeah.
$300 million deal.
Yeah.
How do you get into almost a $1 billion debt?
Because
Who
he's
do you owe? Who do you owe?
everybody.
Everybody.
Yep.
And that's another thing that we really need to be concerned about. Whose pocket is he in?
Oh yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if you got $1 billion in assets, like you got people like Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, they have billions of dollars that they have. If they could have big debt too, that's possible. I don't know.
But if he's got a bunch of loans.
That's
No.
not good economics.
That's not good. No, that's not good
Especially
business.
with as long as he's been in business.
Right.
Inherited $400 million.
He makes a living. He lives off of those loans. He lives off of loans.
Yeah,
That's
so
not too much.
$300 million in debt could be the note on property that he owns.
It could be, but that's an extraordinary number.
It is.
He lives
For
off.
somebody who inherited his wealth.
Yeah.
And you know what? That just tells you he didn't invest good. And
Right. He doesn't know what he's doing.
he shouldn't be in this mess.
Mm-hmm.
He should be sitting up there like Warren Buffett or Michael Bloomberg, who
Exactly.
are billionaires. Real ones.
You gotta, we don't know what kind of debt those men are in. The only reason why we know about Donald Trump is because he's president right now.
Donald Trump has had like 4 bankruptcies. He's not a very good businessman.
He's
And
not.
you know what? His whole problem is his ego. He
Yeah.
wants it to look like an empire instead of being smart and selling companies and consolidating because he has his big ego. That's his downfall.
It
He
is.
kept all this and kept borrowing so he could keep funding his lifestyle, so he could keep looking like a billionaire,
Right.
which now we found out he is not.
Right, and that's
That's where I kind of that's where I back out of the conversation, because I don't want to go into why he owes the money, why he's doing the money.
But we got to, because you know what? You know, though some of these businessmen, they've taken money from Russia.
No, you listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should know whether or not he owns people that would compromise his intent
Yes.
president. That I agree with.
Yeah.
Now, if he owns like some of our foreign, that we should know about.
We should know about that.
But yeah, I can agree there. But what I'm saying is, like, say for instance, Tyra owes $300,000.
Right.
She just borrowed that money because she was just trying to live like.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
I'm going
Our whole
into
point,
why
though.
I think she.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not.
No.
I'm not doing it. So that's the same thing I'm not going to do with Donald Trump.
I don't go there. And let me tell you why I go there. Because I've heard him say that's what he does.
What?
He takes out all these different loans. And it's like it's a game to him, and that's how he lives. It's awful. I've heard this man say that. That's why he's in all that debt.
And
He
he's international. Trump is international.
Yeah, and he has to keep the facade going. He has to keep the
Exactly.
facade going. To me, he's in over his head. He's gotten in. He's in over his head, and it's gotten out of control.
He is.
And that's where we are today. With him.
Yes. And I think he's got ties to people who are really not friendly with the United States. Let's just be honest. And I think one of those people are Russia. Why in the world would they go hard for him to destabilize our election? See, we all done forgot about that.
Now,
This man should not be president.
Is I think Biden has some shady China connections. See what I'm saying? Like when Trump was bringing up his son Hunter, and Biden got really upset. See, I watched the whole entire documentary on that deal with Hunter Biden and everything that was going on. Trump was hitting on something that Biden didn't want the American people to. There was some shadiness going on there. You see what I'm saying? And when Biden went and got when Hunter went and got that job in China, Joe was there at the same time. They were in China at the same time. That shows that it could have been a possible conflict of interest where Joe was using his influence as vice president of the United States to financially benefit his son, which is still an integrity issue. So when Trump was bringing that up yesterday, that's the reason why Joe got so mad. And see, because a lot of us don't know about the history of Hunter Biden, when he was bringing up Hunter Biden, Trump's base was like, yeah, get him. And everybody else like, why is he talking about Hunter? Why are you bringing up Hunter? That's because they don't know what's going on with Hunter. I do. I've seen the whole documentary on China. There's some shadiness going on over there. And if you know anything about China, China is not America's friend.
No. But neither is Russia.
So if he over there, think about it, and I agree with you on Russia, but if he's over there as the vice president, now think about it, he's the vice president's son at the time that he got this position. Do you know the type of sensitive information he could have possibly?
Listen, I don't put nothing past any of them. I think all of them. I mean, honestly, if they see the opportunity and they can get away with it and they make some money off of it, they're gonna do it. Democrats, Republicans, it doesn't matter.
Now you see where I'm at. So I'm not defending Trump as in what Trump is doing is okay. I just want us to realize that the people that's pointing at Trump, come on, they just as shady as Trump. So I don't want us to ever be blinded about who Joe Biden is because we so how shady Trump is.
Yeah, but you know what? Donald Trump
they got the smoking mirrors going on, and we don't.
but Donald Trump is.
We ain't saying no picture of Shady Joe.
And he's shadier.
He's What you say? There's
All
levels
these
to this.
people around him have been indicted. He's shady.
Yeah, you said there's levels to this. Donald Trump actually. There's
And we
levels
gotta pick the lesser of two evils. That's
Yeah.
just politics for you.
And
That's
see,
what
the
politics are.
lesser of two evils really boils down to, and this is where, just getting serious for a second. The lesser of two evils really boils down to what you as a person feel comfortable. Which agenda do you feel comfortable with supporting?
I mean,
if Joe Biden was firmly against the proliferation of abortion, because I know we can't outlaw it, but if he was not for long-term abortions, I could probably vote for him. If he wasn't so pro LGBTQ to the extreme, I could probably vote for him. But it's like I knew what Obama was gonna do. And I got kicked out of church over Obama. You know what I'm saying? A church I was going to for 8 years. They kicked me out because I warned the church, because God gave me the message. And I warned them. I can show you a prophecy that I did before this man got. It was a 10-page thing that God gave me. Told me everything this man was going to do when he was in office. Not one. I said, God does not want us to vote for this man. And I told him, I said, if we do, we're going to get it. It's going to be a punishment on our land if we do it. And that's why I feel like that's all this corrupt. Trump is
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I told them what God told me to tell them. I gave all three of the leaders the message that God gave me, and I said, look, this is what? And then my leader was like, you supposed to, she even asked me, she said, you're supposed to preach this at all the churches, aren't you? I said, yes. And then, girl, the next day, I was getting dressed for the church because we was in the middle of revival. And the assistant pastor came to my house and gave me a letter. And they had excommunicated me and my children from the church. She told me she was not going to let me ruin this man's life. They was more about getting him in office than the fact that his agenda was totally against God. And I feel like that's the reason why the church is suffering right now. Shut down, can't hardly. The punishment of COVID is really on the church. The church is the one that's suffering the most if you pay attention. Yeah, we done lost lives, but the church itself has suffered the most. As the institution that has suffered the most has been the church throughout COVID. Look at the attacks in the media. It was on churches, on pastors. We are reaping what we did with Barack Obama. You see what I'm saying? And so that's where
our punishment.
I feel like it. And I'm not trying to make that same mistake with Biden. Biden's agenda when it comes to the LGBTQ, because if you read, he stated in the article, his allegiance is to the LGBTQ. He said it. And then he's backed by Planned Parenthood, so we know where this is going.
I mean, but see, our options are we deal with racism and the rise of white nationalism, or we deal with.
But April, this is what I'm saying. I feel like God, if we got a choice between two races, because we got a choice between two, whether we want to believe it or not, we got to, no matter who you vote for, you're putting a racist in office.
True.
Let me vote for the racist that's not going to be pro-abortion and pro-LGBT. Let me just try to be as safe as I can with this vote. Is where my mind's at. You see what I'm saying? Because no matter who I vote for, I'm putting a racist in office. Let me put in office that's not going to bring extra punishment on me with LGBTQ and abortion.
It's too much. I don't know.
That's all I'm at.
It's something
That's all I'm at.
I mean, we
That's
all
what I'm saying, y'all. And I want y'all to understand, y'all, I'm black, y'all. You see what I'm saying? I feel you. You don't understand how much I be on these pro-Trump posts. Getting these racist folks that be on his posts. I be tearing them up. And I be tearing them up so bad, they start doing, they're like, Wait, you go ahead. Your phone just come back on those sides. So I'm getting them. I'm tearing them up on them posts. So it's not like I'm pro-Trump, like, oh, I'm too good for you Negroes. I'm not like that. You see what I'm saying? I'm letting them know, yeah, I vote for Trump because I got to at this particular, in my mind. You see what I'm saying? But don't get it twisted. I'm full 100% Negress over here, okay? So
Right.
don't get away with them microaggressions around me. I'm gonna call y'all racist. I be calling they racist tails out. Okay? So don't I'm not sold out. I'm just tuned in to God. I'm not trying to, I don't want to go there. Give me, if they can find a Democrat that's pro-life and moderate on the LGBTQ, maybe I could vote for them.
Right.
Well, for me, I just want to stress the end. This is Trump's presidency is just too stressful. It's too much. It is just too much. I want to go back to a sense
But
of
do you
normal.
think that may be by design of the devil to make us feel that way, to usher in his agenda?
Yeah, but I don't know. I still feel like he needs to go. Now, what's going to happen? Even if Biden comes in, some things who knows where it's going to go. But I think I still feel more comfortable if Trump is gone, because I don't trust that man at all.
I think the devil would be happy if Trump got in the office, so it would calm down, because the devil wouldn't be ready to hell no more. So he would calm down.
Yeah, this is just too much. All of this uprising, you got everybody's fighting each other. It's too much. My son come calling me the other day, and my son, white woman done parent him. Girl, I'm like, and I was upset because I couldn't get to him to get to her. Like, let me talking to my son and asking him why he's there and all that. This kind of crazy stuff. We just, yeah, come up some white woman. They call her Karen. He said, this lady Karen me. She wanted to know why I was here, and I had no business being here. It's like,
Tyra,
we didn't
comment on your hat. Comment on your hat from one of the people that commented. One of the people that commented said you have a nice hat. One of the people that commented said you have a nice hat. You on mute. What happened? You on mute.
Well, you guys, I gotta get ready to go because
yeah, we gotta go because it's late. I'm tired too, guys. We've been on for almost 2 hours now. Okay, get off of this thing. Okay, so let's do this after the vice presidential debate. Okay.
Okay.
Is that next week?
That's next week.
Okay.
All right, ladies. You all have a good night.
Okay.
You too.
All right. Bye bye.
Any closing remarks from anybody?
Huh?
Any closing remarks from anybody?
No, just I had fun and thanks, and I look forward. We're going to do it again.
Everybody go well.
Yeah.
Okay. And stay safe.
And stay safe.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.